Good afternoon. We welcome you all this afternoon to today's hearing. We particularly want to thank our witnesses for taking time out of their busy schedules to be here with us. Today, we intend to examine the nationally growing problem of poorly trained senior investment specialists and take the first step towards much-needed reform. Many seniors are discovering that their life savings will not see them through their golden years and are turning to investments to increase their retirement income. With the intent of investing wisely and knowledgeably, older Americans often turn to financial advisors. An investigation conducted by this committee has found that many seniors are losing their retirement income and savings by placing their trust in so-called advisors who in many cases may not deserve that moniker. More and more individuals are representing themselves as certified senior investment specialists when they often have limited or no education, no experience in extremely complicated financial matters. It is estimated that there are thousands of individuals holding themselves out as senior specialists. Although some may have legitimate credentials, oftentimes they do not. We know that an attorney must go to school for 3 years and pass a state bar exam. CPA must have a college degree, an additional year of study, and must also pass a national exam. Nicholas Nicolette, who's a certified financial planner and president of the Financial Planning Association, FPA. The FPA is an advocacy organization whose stated aim is to be a community that fosters the value of financial planning and advances the financial planning profession. Mr. Nicolette has been an SEC-registered investment advisor since 1992, and he has substantial experience in the industry that we are examining today. Mr. Nicolette.
Thank you, Chairman Cole and Ranking Member Smith, for providing me the opportunity to add my voice to the chorus of concern raised in the testimony you've heard today. I'm Nicholas Nicolette, President of the Financial Planning Association, which represents over 28,000 financial planning professionals. In my day job, I'm a partner in Sterling Financial Group, a small financial planning firm in Sparta, New Jersey, and I reside in Port Jervis, New York. FPA strongly commends this committee for investigating the perplexing world of senior financial designations and shining a spotlight on the alphabet soup of certifications and designations that leaves too many elderly consumers vulnerable to incompetent or fraudulent financial advice. I am proud to lead an organization of professionals who are committed to adhering to the highest standards of professional competence and ethics. Our position on consumer protection is as simple as it is unwavering. Financial planners have a fiduciary duty to their clients. Put another way, we are obliged to act in the best interest of our clients, even if it is to our own detriment. There is no higher standard. I'm also proud to say that, like most FPA members, I hold the Certified Financial Planner Certification, or CFP. FPA supports the CFP mark administered by CFP Board of Standards as the highest standard for competent, ethical financial planners. CFP professionals have clearly demonstrated that they possess the 4 E's: education, examination, experience, and ethics. CFP certification is not the only credential that can or should be trusted by the public, but it represents so much of what is missing from some of the other 100-plus designations and certifications this committee has investigated. Without these basic criteria, rigorous education and examination, experience, and enforceable ethics, you cannot sustain credibility or the public trust. The tragic stories we have heard so far today are all too common and cast a pall over the entire financial services industry. I have heard from a number of our members who have helped reassemble the shattered lives of senior citizens, victims of these pseudo-financial experts. These seniors have spent a lifetime working hard, raising and educating their children, and saving with the goal of living their retirement years with dignity and respect. One particular tragic case that came to my attention from an FPA member in Pennsylvania involved an elderly man who was victimized by an annuity salesman carrying a senior certification. You may have read about it in this morning's Washington Post, or as Senator Casey referenced. The 79-year-old man was persuaded by the salesman to sign a power of attorney, giving the agent access to the individual's CDs, cash, and mutual funds. The assets, not coincidentally, ended up in unsuitable annuities. When the victim learned he had been cleaned out, his family said that he went into a deep depression and died a few months later. The insurance company offered the gentleman his money back in a letter which arrived on the day of his funeral. His family buried him with the letter in his pocket. And sadly, this insurance salesman is still doing business today, despite being sanctioned several times by state insurance officials. In contrast to the product-driven process employed by this agent, FPA supports a client-centered process. CFP practitioners, for example, are required by their ethics code to use 6 clearly defined steps in the planning process to help people achieve their life goals. In the case of this unfortunate victim, we would have created a budget plan and identified cash flow needs for daily needs and emergencies before looking at strategies and possible product solutions for ensuring that he did not outlive his resources. We would be required to clearly disclose all conflicts of interest, and just as important, how we are paid. So how can we help our seniors from those who would prey on them? A combination of well-crafted regulation, vigorous enforcement action, and education are the key. Today, individuals are required to make more financial decisions that impact the quality of their lives than ever before. We have a responsibility to create an environment in which they can seek guidance and make decisions with confidence that their interests are being put first. Director Borg has discussed NASA's plans to adopt a model regulation that we hope will discourage the use of bogus credentials. We look forward to working with NASA toward that end. Regulators must also continue to be vigilant and act decisively when they see early indications of fraud. In some ways, though, their hands are tied by an antiquated regulatory system that continues to permit a lower standard for advice in the sale of insurance products. State insurance laws are now only playing catch-up to securities laws by establishing suitability requirements in certain product sales. If an insurance agent or any professional uses a title or marketing material suggesting he or she acts in the client's best interests, then they should be held to a fiduciary standard. Finally, we must help investors, young and old alike, to educate themselves about the background of the person with whom they are investing their assets and their trust. Thank you again for allowing me to testify today.
Hearing today is entitled Advising Seniors About Their Money, who is qualified and who is not, and all the various ways you've testified on this issue. But in terms of that question, who is qualified and who is not, advising seniors about their money, I'd like to ask each of you to tell me the one thing or maybe the two things that are most important that we need to put in place, that we need to do to improve this whole area of advice that is being given to seniors on how to invest their money.
There's a huge impact to all this I would like to address because it doesn't impact just the senior, which is a horrible thing. It impacts their family. It impacts their community. It does impact our society. And I think that's why we're all here. And it's not just about the product sale, because that's one of the things, obviously, is the issue here on a big aspect. It's not just investments. It's not just insurance product. It's really, regardless of those two things, it's about advice. All of these individuals are utilizing designations and sales seminars and luncheons to allow people to believe that they're going to receive objective advice. And I think that's one area that we can all work together, is to be able to help oversee and to bring together universal standards of care that all people who give advice will be held accountable to. Not the sale of a product, but how you provide advice. The SEC has been doing a very good job in terms of how they look at that. As a financial planner, if I provide advice, I have a different set of standards than if I just sell a product. And I think what we're seeing are people using a designation to make people feel they're receiving advice, that they can trust the person that's giving them advice, and then they're selling them an insurance product that is not covered by the Advisors Act that the SEC oversees. These commissioners and all of us together, I think, can work to make sure there's a universal standard that they would be held accountable, that anyone providing advice would be held accountable to.